Hi, my name is Dana Arnett, co-host of Wicked Marketing, along with my partner, Carlos Sapene. You can find more information about us and our business on LinkedIn, or if you have any questions, email us at info@wickedbionic.com. Subscribe to Wicked Marketing on Apple Podcasts and write an awesome review for us. We're also on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Google Play. Thanks for listening. Hi, this is Dana.
And I'm Carlos.
Welcome to our podcast today. We are so excited. One of the things we realize is, it's hard for any business owner when it's your business, you just know it, right? You just know what it is. And you don't sometimes look on the outside and think, do people really know what this is? And we've been asked a lot of questions lately by younger business owners about what certain things are. So we wanted to talk about and just kind of really define for you without getting, diving in deep as the how, but defining what different marketing mediums there are, so that when you're creating your marketing strategies, or people are creating them for you, that you have an idea of what each of these are. So we're literally going to go through a list of 6 things, and Carlos is going to talk about each one. So we're going to start with, actually, let me read them all to you. So the 6 mediums we're going to cover are digital, print, radio, TV, direct mail, and out of home, which is billboards, buses, rail, etc. So, okay, Carlos, you want to talk about digital, our favorite thing?
So, yeah, when people talk about digital, and I feel like all of this is kind of melding. So I'll talk a little bit about how I see that melding in the future, and digital sort of just becoming part of everything else, is that digital is really 3 types of advertising. There is a visual type of advertising, which is called display. So those are graphics, basically. And they can be moving graphics. They can have video in them. And those are the ads that you see traditionally on a website that are called the banners, right? A lot of people call them banners. And they're at the top of the site, or the side of the site, or there's push downs that push from the top. There's all sorts of magical types of display that tries to be as intrusive as possible, which is not as effective as people think. But even though some of the newer intrusive ones are not as annoying, like the push downs from the top and that kind of stuff. So that's display. Display requires you to have multiple sizes. There are some standard sizes for display advertising, but it still requires you to create multiple versions, which can get costly, depending on how much your graphic designer costs, basically. And so that's one type. Another type is video, right? And video is probably one of the most relevant types of advertising that there is right now, because it's just a much more engaging way to communicate a message. And it's also where most people are, especially during this pandemic, right? People are streaming a lot, more so than ever before. If this pandemic helped anything, it's been the streaming.
It helped, right? Exactly.
For sure. I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but I think it's up like 300% streaming.
And look at all the advertising in your newsfeed. It's almost always video now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a change. A change. Sure.
Yeah. So it is a more engaging video, but it's a harder to convert medium, because people want to watch the video, or they'll watch some of the video and then they'll move on without clicking. Right. So you have to be very effective at creating video. There's tactics around that. Maybe one day we should do a podcast on how to create effective video advertising, because that would be helpful. But yes, so video is another type that is very popular. People tend to think that video is very costly. It's not. There's several tools out there to help you create videos for advertising. So if you don't have huge budgets, And you don't have to contact a videographer to be able to get started with video and see if you can become effective at it. There's tools around it. So maybe we'll do a podcast around that one day just to help you guys create some video without spending an arm and a leg. And then there's audio advertising, which is also a digital form of advertising. If you're catching my drift here, these are all sounding like the old traditional forms of advertising, right? So display sounds like print. Right, like creating an ad to go in a magazine. That's kind of what that's the new version of print. Video is the new version of TV, right? TV advertising, the ads that you would see on TV were video. So this is the representation of that. And audio is the new version of radio, right? So
silly but true. Great point.
Yeah. So audio is anything that's going to go on Spotify, on Pandora, on iHeartRadio, like those type of outlets where audio advertising is distributed. And there's a new form of audio that's quickly growing, which is what I call accessible audio. If you've noticed in places like CNN, New York Times, those types of publishers, they're now putting out their stories in audio. So you can listen to them instead of reading them. When you go on their sites. So that's opening a whole new world. And I have a good friend that's very involved in developing that. That is a new world of audio advertising for placement there. And obviously also part of audio is podcasts, right? Which everyone's loving podcasts nowadays. People listen to podcasts all the time. Which
we
again,
have a podcast.
We have a podcast. This is a podcast, right? But it is like the old school radio that people would sit around the radio and listen to. That's what podcasts really are, is these shows that people are just talking and learning from. And obviously within that world of digital, we would be remiss not to mention social media, right? Which social media encompasses display, video, audio, all of that is part of social media. Audio in particular is very popular right now with a new social media called Clubhouse, which we should probably do a podcast on Clubhouse soon as well.
I don't have enough time to do all these podcasts, Carlos.
I know. People want to know about these things. Look into Clubhouse, guys, because it's up and coming and it's a great social media tool. Anyhow, so display, video, audio, and social, which encompasses kind of all of it in one. Are where your digital advertisements are.
Digital is big. And then let's talk about print, which is not dead,
Print is not dead, but it is a medium. It is a hard medium during the pandemic. Yes. And it was already a hard medium. It had become a hard medium before. But print is not dead. And what I will say, and I mentioned this in another podcast, is that print is still efficient in certain specific markets, right? So that could be in local, that could be in event-driven marketing, that could be in fashion, right? So people still love a good fashion magazine. People still love Vogue. People still love, getting those type of magazines, which, by the way, Vogue has been very efficient in the digital space with their advertising. And their partnerships with influencers as well, which influencer marketing, I guess we missed in the digital piece. So print is still effective in certain mediums, right? And that's the one where you see your ad in the newspaper or you see your ad in a magazine. Another place where print is effective is in multicultural marketing, right? So reaching people that are of foreign language, which is a big thing that we do. As part of our marketing campaigns and not only reaching them, but communicating with them in the right way, culturally effective way. But print is still highly effective in those foreign languages.
And I would say, to our work here in Los Angeles on a particular couple campaigns, L'Opinion and Korea Times were two big places that we did a lot of advertising because it was based upon not just the cultural relevance, but also the age of those particular people that we were looking for, that were still reading the paper.
Right? I read a statistic the other day that people, I think it's something like 60 or 70% still of people 65 and over do not use digital.
Do not use digital.
Do not use digital. So you would think, just because of Facebook, that they want to see their grandchildren and stuff like that, but it's not as effective. There's actually a story a week ago or 2 weeks ago of this man in Hollywood who is 70 something, I believe, who spent $10,000 on print advertising, letting AT&T know how their internet sucks in Hollywood. Yeah.
Right on.
He's still getting
I hope he has good internet.
2 megabits of internet. And so what the story was talking about is how AT&T has sort of let go of their people that are still on DSL. I didn't even know that DSL was still around.
Existed. Yeah.
Yeah, they're still, so they're finally, after this story came out, they're finally going to stop supporting DSL and upgrade those people. But they were at 2 megabits. 2 megabits is basically...
No, that's all. That's just called not having...
A webpage never loads for you.
Not having it. But I got to say, that guy was effective in print. And I will go back for a second to digital. I was really annoyed with Sparkletts Water Company. And I could not get that. It was during the pandemic. Nobody was answering the phone. I had bottles stacking up at the office. And I finally went on their social media on Facebook. I'm like, hey, and I wasn't a jerk. I said, hey, do you know instant reply, instant phone call? Like, you just use what you use, right? That works. So, yeah.
I had that experience with Alaska Airlines, and they were so great. They got like immediately on it when I did speak immediate. When I let them
exactly. And you hate to do it, but if it's the best way. So next let's talk about radio. There's lots of ways to do radio. So
radio is great, and radio is making a big comeback during the pandemic because a lot of people are listening to radio. Radio is very effective at reaching people with audio. And I still, to this day, believe that jingles in particular are one of the most effective ways to drive.
Who does jingles anymore? I know.
You know what? But they should come back.
1-800-CARS-FOR-KIDS. Could you ever get that audio?
Oh my God. Don't start. It'll be stuck in my head for hours.
Oh my God. Crazy.
Yeah, no, there's jingles that sometimes I'll be running and a jingle will start playing in my head. But like old jingles.
I know.
Maybe we should start like a jingle.
I was just going to say, maybe we can get some fine jingles.
Maybe we can we can talk to some of our. Yeah, we have a lot of composers. Maybe we can start a jingle company. So anyhow, so radio has diversified a lot, right? So and is very cost efficient as well. So there's the digital portion of radio, which we talked about on digital, and that includes like the iHearts of the world and the Spotifys and Pandoras and that kind of thing. And there's the traditional radio, and radio has multiple ways to advertise in it, right? So there's the spots, the radio spots, which happen in between several groups of songs or within a show or whatever. There's also radio mentions, where whoever's hosting the program for the radio will make a mention of your advertising. So there's multiple ways to integrate it in there, but it is an efficient way to, in particular in high traffic areas like metropolitan cities. Radio is a very effective way, but it's also highly effective in hard to reach areas.
Yes,
because there's while we are so used to our high-speed internet in cities, the further out you go, the harder it is to get internet, even on your phone, right? So if you've ever traveled, more than an hour or two outside of a city, you've probably experienced how hard it is to get signal in some places. Oddly enough, those places, or not oddly enough, I guess, because it's been around for a much longer time, those places still have radio stations.
I still go into a hotel room and no matter where I am, when I'm not in this big city, and I will turn on the radio.
Yeah.
Just because. And one of the things I wanted to say too, like we've been had some great success, like Dodger Radio, right? The demographic for Dodger Radio was the exact demographic we were looking for a particular campaign. So we did a lot of advertising with iHeart at those times and on Dodger Radio when the games were happening. And it was very successful for us. And also digital radio isn't even that expensive anymore. They'll produce the whole spot for you. So it's not crazy money.
It's not crazy money, so it's a great place. And radio is part of, in particular, if you're trying to reach people that are on the go or that are in places where they don't necessarily have access to TV. So like it's very good at reaching blue collar workers. When you're trying to reach people that are on the go, that are either in jobs where they don't have necessarily access to the internet, radio is still a very effective piece because people still need some sort of distraction while they're at work, in particular in tedious jobs, and radio usually solves that problem for people.
Yeah, and then we have 3 left and not as much time. So let's go a little kind of brief overview of TV, which is not
okay. So TV, and I mentioned this in another podcast, is still a great medium for awareness. One of the top, if not the best, medium for awareness, I would say, still to this day, because it is such a broad reach. It is reaching a lot of people. It's not very targeted at all because you reach all sorts of people. So if you're doing a broad awareness campaign, general market broad awareness campaign, TV is great. If you're doing a more targeted campaign, there are several TV outlets that are very specific, that are better options for you to do. Like if you're trying to reach Hispanics, Univision or Telemundo or Estrella TV or LA TV are, the best places where you're going to be putting that advertising to reach them. But TV is, the great thing about TV that people seem to not come to a realization of is because TV has a fame of being really expensive, and it's not. TV is not super expensive if you're doing it at a city or at a DMA level, or at a regional level, or once you get into state or national, then it starts getting a little more expensive. But there are options for local TV advertising that any business should really be taking advantage of.
Agreed. We've had some good success on some campaigns with that. And then, so then the really not fun, but still alive, because it is in my mailbox every day, direct mail.
Yeah, so we don't actually do direct mail, but we do tend to...
we look at it as an option. It's done.
Well, yeah, we look at it as an option. We have clients that move from direct mail to digital with us, right? Yeah. Or other types. Direct mail to me is still effective at a hyper local level in places where, I will tell you, I still use my direct mail for my car wash, right? So I get my coupons for my car wash that I like to go to. I'm actually looking at one of the coupons for my car wash that I get in Valpak. I have it right here.
You all can't see it, but I know that same one that goes
right. The same one. So things like that are very specific, hyper localized. I feel like direct mail is still effective. It's used a lot in real estate.
Yes, like brand recall more, anymore. Right?
Yeah. It's like it is. People tend to move when they're buying homes. They unless they're moving cities, they try to not move too far away from where they live. So it is effective in cases like that. That's why I always say you have to look at what the goals of your campaign are. Not only the goals of your campaign, but the goals of your audience that's receiving the message, right? So if I'm going to be thinking about moving, I'm probably going to move in the same city or the same area that I live in because I'm comfortable. I know where my supermarket is. I know where I get my everything around here, right? Where I get my haircut, where I get all of that kind of stuff. So if you're selling homes, a great place to promote those homes is in a hyper-localized
with people that are homeowners, because
people that are homeowners in that area, right? Yeah. In case those people are looking to move or buy something new or bigger or smaller, whatever it is, downsizing.
I still look because I own my place. I want to see what prices are. What are they selling them for out there? So I always do look.
Yeah, my favorite good form of exposure for those type of specific hyper localized campaigns is what I think.
Especially the discount stuff is always something great because it's for the restaurant.
Because if you think about it, mail has become a place that we either get junk or we get bills. So a lot of people don't want to even look at their mail during a pandemic because they don't want to see the bills.
I know.
So I see those mailboxes full, exploding. I actually saw a mailbox explode and the letters fall out of it the other day.
I was trying to see if I could get my mail person to just not put that crap inside my mailbox. I haven't ever asked, but I'm going to ask.
Yeah. So those are mail is still effective at certain things, but in particular during the pandemic, not so much.
Yeah, and just make sure you have something to offer that is something along the lines that we're talking about, a discount or an awareness about something that somebody could actually use. The last thing, and always my favorite to talk about, and I don't know why, I love our out-of-home advertising, because I think there's an idea, and I've heard it many times, usually by smaller businesses, actually not just by smaller businesses, but that, billboards, they're a waste of money. And we have just not found that to be the truth. And
I absolutely do not find that
Outfront Media and, Clear Channel. And it's like, we have not had that. So I think kind of explaining what the value is.
Here's what I will tell you. It is a waste of money if it's the only thing you're doing.
There you go.
So the media buying should not be a single channel buy. Right. So each one of these are called channels, right? So it should not be a single channel buy. It should be an omni-channel buy, meaning you should really put a little bit in a few of these in order to be effective at it. Because like I've said before in other podcasts, brand recall is what's really important in a lot of cases. So the ability of your brain to be able to recall the name of a brand or a specific product or service at the time of need or intent. So I have an intent to go get my cavity fixed. What's the dentist that I saw? Like I have a need to get new running pants. What was that brand that I saw that is selling running pants for cheap, or is selling great running pants, or is selling the new running shoes, or blah, 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 that type of thing.
Right.
So
billboards,
when we're talking about out of home, yes, billboards can be expensive, but they also can be effective, right? So one tactic that we've used even as an agency is placing billboards strategically outside office locations of people that we want to reach with messaging. Right. So that's an effective thing because they'll see it every day when they're leaving their office, and they'll continually be reminded of a brand. So that's an effective thing. For the services that we market to people that need to take advantage of free services because they either can't afford them, or if they can afford them, they rather spend the money on something else that's an immediate need for their home, and they need help. Right. So that's a lot of the services that we help market our free services for people. And so we place them in locations where people are on the go, like bus stops, right? So bus stops are a great place to have these poster-sized advertising for free services. So it really depends on what you're trying to do. But there's multiple things that you can do out of home. There's bus benches, right? There are bus stops. There are billboards, and billboards are divided into billboards and posters. Posters are the smaller billboards, which are more cost effective. But you also have to, when you're buying out of home, people tend to buy billboards by location. You actually have to go to the location and look at that billboard and see if it really is in line of sight.
Or does it have a tree in front of it?
It doesn't have a tree in front of it. It really is an effective placement, right? That's a big part of what your agency does for you when they're doing the media buying. So I always hate, and I hate using the word hate, but I really dislike when people say that a marketing medium doesn't work. It's not that a marketing medium doesn't work, it's that the strategy that was used to do that media placement may have not been the most effective strategy.
No, you're 100% right. And one of the great things too, there are real statistics that say with on a street corner, this billboard, how much traffic goes by there. It might be 24 million people in a week or a day or something. So there's reasoning behind why a particular place, but also there is we do get the reports on what kind of traffic is there. So it has been effective for us. And like Carlos said, what I love is, if we're trying to reach a particular population or a particular cultural group, we're putting a bus going up and down through that particular neighborhood. That's something that's effective. We're reaching our people, so it is very effective. And I think that I hope that everybody thought this was interesting because, the best thing you said, Carlos, to me is what I think is the most valuable, is that it's never just one thing. And that means including Facebook ads. Facebook ads and what? Facebook ads and radio, Facebook ads and, a bus shelter. There are other things. It's never just one thing. And it is distressing to us when people come and say that it failed or the agency failed. And because maybe they're just a digital agency and they don't do things like the media buying that we do, the out of home or print or whatever. They just do digital. So there's a lot of things to consider, I think, when you're looking at where you want to be. But that's why you would hire professionals to kind of give you that big, broad overview of what would be the best implementation for your strategy. Right?
Right.
Okay, thank you for listening. Hope it was valuable, and we will see you next time.
Thank you for listening today. Don't forget to subscribe to and share Wicked Marketing on Apple Podcasts and write an awesome review for us. We are also on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Google Play. See you next time.